Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be working on this Elaeagnus Multiflora, also known as the Goumi. And excuse my pronunciation if I said it wrong, but yeah, so what we're going to be doing today is that we're going to be trimming down this little bush as it is right now, and we're going to be repotting it on this little pot. Originally, I actually planned on having this little pot for one of my peach trees. However, I feel like the peach tree is actually outgrowing its original pot right now, and I feel like it's going to be too big for this one. So as soon as the fruit starts growing on this one, eventually, it's going to give me kind of like a orangey reddish fruit, and I feel like this will give it a good balance for the bottom and the top. So we're going to be putting it on this one right here, and we're going to be working some of the branches for today. Alright, so before we start the video, this right here is actually Noodle. We adopted him about 3 weeks ago, and the other videos that I had posted before were actually pre-recorded. So if you do hear some noise going around, he is really playful at this stage of his life right now. So you might hear him playing around and making different types of noises around in the background. So, you know, just excuse that. He's been really playful lately. Alright, so let's get started with this. Right off the back, I know that we do have to do some branch selections here. Some of the branches, from what I can see, are actually too thick on the top, and I feel like one of the things that we need to do first is figure out which branches we need to keep and which ones we need to discard. For this, like I always do, I do have a sketch where I'll be mapping out, planning out which branches I will be deciding to keep and which ones I'll be taking right off. But right off the back, I can actually see that these ones right here were actually had to go, since I also have another one growing pretty much in the same direction. And since this one has split off from the bottom, I can definitely use this one instead of this one right here. Alright, so right off the back, we actually need to pay attention in the movement of the trunk and trying to figure out in which direction the tree wants to move, and if there's actually some movements that we can actually try to avoid in other branches. So right off from the top right here, we can see from the bottom that the trunk is trying to go in this direction, and then it wants to go this way as well as that way once again. However, notice how the thickness is actually growing pretty much similar throughout. If anything, these branches right here are actually thicker than all the others. I'm guessing that's because that was the main trunk at the beginning, and all the other branches are growing towards the sides right here. So what we're going to do is that I want to be able to have thickness at the bottom and then slowly starting to thin towards the top. So right up here, we do have some thick branches, and those are the ones that we're trying to get rid of. If I do show an image of my sketch, it will be right over here. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to get rid of, from what I have sketched, I'm going to get rid of this branch right over here, and also this one, since I do have another one growing in the exact same direction. I might also get rid of this one right here, since I also have two growing at this point. But I do have noticed right here that this one has a little bit more of movement, and it's actually kind of like natural, since there's actually no other things projected on this direction. So I feel like I almost will need to also get rid of this one, and eventually I do want to have this growing almost as a broom style. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to be cutting most of the branches just about right here in order to propagate finer branches growing towards the top. So we're going to go ahead and start it by pruning some of the branches from right here, and then we'll start deciding on the rest of the design for the tree. So right now we're going to be using our branch cutters right here. This is specific branch cutters I actually got from one of the toolkits online. Those are the ones that you actually buy on Amazon. So if you haven't seen the video yet on how I review these tools, make sure you go ahead and click the link. So yeah, let's go on to this. Alright, so we had said from the beginning that these branches right here were actually compromising the whole entire structure of the tree. I could go as easily as just right here and figure out if I can save one of the branches, so by just cutting one of these, and if not, then I'll definitely gonna have to cut all the way back over here. So we're gonna start off with this one. like that. I'm actually starting to see more of that movement right there. Yeah, right about there. And previously to this, I had actually decided on keeping this right here at this point as the face of the tree, and that's actually what I'm actually trying to lead towards in this specific situation. So I'm noticing also that although I want to keep this branch right over here, this one is actually going in the opposite direction and kind of going in between the branches, so I'm actually gonna have to get rid of that one as well. And since this one is going with this one, and I don't want to have too many branches growing on the same spot because I don't want some inverse taper going on right here, I'm actually going to have to get rid of this one. So the whole entire thing, I would say, would have to go. And actually, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to get rid of this one here, and then I'm going to prune back just about right here. That way I avoid any dieback on the tree. So now that I have this right here, then eventually what I can do is snap off this also right here and have another branch growing in this direction, since I already have these two grown right here. And as soon as they grow a little bit longer, what I'm going to do is cut back, but I'm just leaving this specific spot right here so that I would avoid any dieback. I'm going to do the same thing right here. It looks like I'm growing some other branches right here, so I'm going to cut just about right there. And this one's already splitting off, but since they're still young, I want to see if I can wait for them until I do have some new sprouts growing just about right here, and then eventually I'm going to cut back down just a little bit more. But just from right there, I can see that I have this branches growing in this direction, and I do start to see a little bit more of that finer ramification growing towards the top. So we don't longer have those thick branches compromising the style of the tree up here. Now we can easily say that we're going from thick to thin, except for right here, but I feel like this eventually would catch up and we'll have a nice thicker bottom down here. Another things that I can do is lower this branch just a little bit, but after I repot it, I would figure out whether or not I want to lower this branch just a bit. But I feel like at this point right here, the tree itself is actually in a good position. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the repotting. Alright, so another cool thing that I do have from that exact kit is this root raker. It comes with this flat end right here, and this is actually good for when you're repotting trees. You can just simply detach the roots from the pot. Whoa. These type of trees actually do prefer some well-drained soil, and although I did water it yesterday and the temperatures here in zone 9 are actually not high, the soil itself seems a little bit dry, but I can still see that it's a little bit moist. So what I decided to do was to proceed and obtain some potting mix. This right here is 50% lava rock, 25% pumice, and 25% Akadama. So I feel like this could be a really good drainage for this exact tree. So what we're going to do is that now that we have taken it out of the pot, we're going to go ahead and get this pot ready for the transplant. Alright, so right now I'm just cutting some of a plastic net right here. Avoid any of the soil to leak through the drainage holes. However, it would also provide a good drainage for the pot, and so that the roots will not get any rot from all the entire moist. So what we're going to do in order to keep this secure, we're going to go ahead and grab some wire. Okay. So you want to do is that you want to grab these right here, get in through the holes, And once it has been set in place, we're just going to spread it nicely here. We're going to go ahead and put this over here. Okay, so now I'm just checking to see right here how much I need to spread out on the roots to tease them in order for them to actually start moving towards the sides. And I feel like just about right here I need to just tease them just a little bit. Just being careful and not actually damaging the root system. So right here we do have a root and it's actually growing towards the top. Most of the times when you actually have a plant growing in a pot for a long time, the roots start to grow too long, so they start to spiral around the inside of the pot. And actually teasing the roots a little bit helps it to spread out towards the new pot. And that's actually pretty much what we're doing over here. Just removing some of the thicker roots and also providing a nice, stable and suitable place for this bonsai right here. So I feel like right there would be a good spot. What we're going to do now is that we're just going to go ahead and anchor this to the pot, and we're going to go ahead and fill it up with the rest of the soil. The wires that we had put towards the bottom, we're going to go ahead and grab them and then bring them closer together. And this would actually secure the bonsai to the pot. We want to have it there as tight as possible. I'll just go ahead and use this. You want to almost be able to lift up the whole entire tree to make sure that the whole tree is tightly secured to the pot. So if that's safe for you right there, then you can also just leave it the way it is. So we're going to go ahead and proceed in adding the rest of the bonsai soil. You can always use a chopstick to get rid of all of the air bubbles and also to get every single bit of the soil in place. Also notice that when you're actually getting rid of all the pockets of air right here, the soil starts sinking towards the inside, and then you start realizing that you might need a little bit more soil. So doing this also helps you figure out how much more soil you need to add to the pot. Just like on this position right here, I'm starting to realize that I might be able to just add a little bit more here. So it looks like we're actually done right here. I'm gonna go ahead and wait maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna start fertilizing it, just because since it's just been through this whole entire stage of the repotting and also the pruning, I don't want to just go ahead and give it a tons of fertilizer right now. I want to be able to give it a little bit of time to rest so that it can actually start getting onto the whole fertilizing. Going back over here towards the top, I did leave some spaces right here, like on branches, like right there, here, and also about right here. And like I said, I always try to leave just a little bit in certain spots, just because I know there's going to be a little bit dieback, and eventually, as soon as the wood starts dying, then I can actually start removing those stumps that we do have there. And then eventually, with the whole time, they would soon disappear and almost camouflage to the point where it looks like it has always been there. For the moment being, I'm thinking that I'm just going to leave it the way it is. However, perhaps as we wait a little bit longer, I might bring this branch down just a little bit and then get rid of this one. But I'm trying to figure out how this branch right here is going to give before I actually decide on whether or not I want to remove this one. But I feel like this is going to be it for this little bonsai. I do want to say that one of you actually requested a little update on the forest. So I have brought it in to show you guys how the forest itself is actually doing. Alright, so this right here is the forest. If you have not watched the video, I also have another link provided in this video. I do have a little bit of weeds growing here and there. However, that's always natural, since most of the moss does have some other little seeds. We can actually go ahead and remove them every once in a while. I feel like itself, the forest is doing quite well, frankly. The word. Cool. So he actually wants to climb a tree, but you know what? There's no firefighters to rescue you from this one. So I'm gonna go down there. And like I was saying, the forest actually is doing pretty well. I feel like we're starting to see a little bit of a fast growth towards the top, as well as towards the bottom. Eventually I'm going to be cutting back some of these branches just to slimmer down a little bit and create more of finer trees right here. So as soon as they start growing a little more towards the top, I'm going to start pruning down and also bringing down some of the branches right here in order to create that old tree look, just like that. But so far they've been falling down slowly by themselves. This one's, I could actually bring them back down with maybe a little bit of a thin copper wire, and as well as this one's right here, just to continue creating the old forest look right here. Moss is actually doing pretty well right here too. I have it kind of like in a semi-shade sunny area at the moment, since we did have some freezing temperatures in the past few weeks. But I'm slowly starting to bring it back towards the outside so that it can actually get as much sunlight as needed. And so far the moss itself is actually responding pretty well too. Starting to propagate more towards the sides too. And now I have a nice green patch right here, as well as some other ones. And some of the parts it actually died off just a bit, but I feel like eventually it will propagate evenly. But we're trying to keep this forest going, and as soon as we have some work going over here, we're going to create a video and have a nicer update and also styling of the forest. But thank you for requesting an update here. And if you guys like this channel and also the content that I have been providing, I'm pretty sure you will love the bonsai page that I have created on Facebook. I will link down below the link to get there. You would have to actually put in a request and I would actually accept it. However, in this bonsai group, there's a lot of members where they actually get to interact with one another. They post pictures and videos of their bonsais, and we are able to interact a little bit better as a community, trying to give each other a little bit of better advice. If you're fairly new to bonsai, we highly suggest you to join us. We don't criticize you or anything, and as a matter of fact, we try to educate you as well as possible without trying to be any rude. So make sure you check it out. I'm going to leave you guys a link down below where you can actually submit your application. It's quite easy. Just click on it, answer some questions, and we'll add you up to the group. I also have another video in mind, and if you like the idea, comment down below. What I'm planning on doing is that I'm going to be visiting one of my local bonsai nurseries. In the place, I would actually try to show you the type of bonsais that they have in the nursery, as well as some other type of materials that you can buy from your local nursery. If this goes well, I can probably even visit your local bonsai nursery. But if you like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And like I said, you're very welcome to join us on Facebook and also to subscribe on this page. I'll see you next time.